In 509 BC, one woman's courage ended 244 years of kings and gave birth to democracy. In the late 6th century BC, Rome functioned as a monarchy under the Tarquin dynasty. The city was governed not by a senate, but by the absolute will of its kings. This timeline tracks the 244-year history of the Roman monarchy. Over 7 generations, the crown's authority shifted from civil leadership into a system defined by absolute power and the suppression of the Roman people. Within this volatile political climate, a noble woman named Lucretia was widely recognized for her adherence to Roman tradition and her personal integrity. This stability was shattered when the king's son, Sextus Tarquinius, used his royal status to enter Lucretia's home and assault her. Because the perpetrator was a member of the royal family, he was shielded by the very laws he had broken. The existing system offered Lucretia no legal avenue for restitution or justice. This crime highlighted a systemic failure in Rome. The monarchy had reached a point where the ruling elite could target citizens without fear of consequence or trial. Immediately following the assault, Lucretia summoned her father, her husband, and a nobleman named Lucius Junius Brutus to her home. At the time, social pressure often forced victims of such crimes into silence to protect a family's reputation. Lucretia rejected this expectation. She stood before the men, named her attacker, and demanded they hold the prince accountable for his actions. Her demand was rooted in the Roman concept of pudicitia, which tied a woman's public honor to her personal virtue. For Lucretia, a life continued under the violation of a tyrant was a life without honor. To prevent the king from using her survival to justify his son's crimes, Lucretia committed suicide in front of her family, making her death a permanent testimony against the monarchy. By choosing this path, Lucretia ensured that her private suffering could no longer be ignored by the public. The focus of the tragedy shifted instantly from the privacy of the household to the center of the Roman public square. While the others were overcome with grief, Brutus pulled the bloody dagger from Lucretia's chest. He demanded that they put aside their sorrow and take action. Holding the weapon aloft, Brutus swore an oath that no Tarquin and no king of any kind would ever be allowed to Rome again. He carried Lucretia's body into the forum, using the sight of the weapon and the victim to mobilize the growing anger of the citizenry. In this moment, Lucretia's death provided the direct evidence Brutus needed to turn a personal tragedy into the justification for a political revolution. Brutus's call to action triggered a massive, coordinated rebellion. Citizens from all levels of society joined the effort to dismantle the monarchy. The people drove the royal family out of the city and barred the gates. The Tarquins were formally stripped of their power and banished from Rome forever. Following the expulsion, the Roman people took a collective oath. They pledged that any person who attempted to crown themselves king would be declared an enemy of the state. To prevent the return of tyranny, they replaced the single crown with 2 elected consuls, sharing power. These pillars formed the basis of the new republic, supported by a Senate and representative assemblies, managing laws and finances. Over the next several centuries, this system of checks and balances allowed Rome to expand its influence across the Mediterranean, creating a political model that still influences modern governance. While the Roman Republic would eventually govern millions, its creation was triggered by the actions of one woman who refused to let her assault be treated as a royal privilege. From her sacrifice, the Roman Republic was born, and it would last 482 years.